Kershaw, with the way that it should have been ended, I thought that was great as well.
That was pretty cool. And it was also funny how everybody was wearing those really awesome Letterman jackets, but not Kershaw. Kershaw had the sleeves, not the black leather sleeves. He had the white guy sleeves, where he was wearing a cutoff T-shirt and he was just out there doing his thing and looking like a mess, by the way. I love Kershaw, but the beard, the hair, but the emotions from Clayton Kershaw, knowing he's kind of getting, even though he didn't play and contribute necessarily, he is getting that send-off that his last team. Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like at the very end.
He did. He had that one inning. Wasn't it one scoreless inning?
It was huge. No, and don't get me wrong. You're right. But, not to the level that he might like to. But he can proudly, to your point, Lindsay, good point.
And they showed that B-roll at the stadium while that was happening.
He can proudly walk away and say, you know what? I may not have started a game. I may not have had a complete game. But there was this one moment where I was needed and I came through. And I can walk away from my career as a champion and feel really, really good about my final season in uniform.
You want to hear it?
Yeah, sure.
Actually, so Freddie, I'm going to try not to cry today. But I don't know if that's going to work. I'll try not to make it weird. Thank you. Thank you for 18 years. Thank you for showing up and watching us play for the last 18 years. Thank you for being here for me and my family and supporting us. And thank you for all you guys. Thank you, my teammates. You guys are the best in the world. You guys are the best team in the world. And you've been the best team in the world for as long as I remember. I said I was a Dodger for life. And today, I get to say that I'm a champion for life. And that's never going away. I'm so thankful for all of you. And I know they're going to get one more next year. And I'm going to watch just like all you.
Kershaw, that had to have been an incredibly emotional moment for him.
Oh, you would think. I mean, for the love of God.
I mean, the guy talking about 18 years with one club. How frequently do you, especially in baseball, do you get a guy that spends his entire career with one team? I mean, look on the other side. Look at Max Scherzer for Toronto. He's played for every team in Major League Baseball. All right, maybe slight exaggeration, but you understand the point.
Half of them.
For a guy to play all 18 years in one uniform is remarkable. And for a guy to grow up, you're a child, and then you're a young man, and then you become a husband and a dad and a grown man, and you're dealing with a lot of the highs, but you're also dealing with a lot of the lows. You're dealing with guys that go running their mouths on radio about how terrible you are and how you choke in the postseason. And then you leave your career with 2 straight championships and 3, as they described, in 6 years. What a moment for Clayton Kershaw, his wife, his kids, his family, and the fan base. I thought it was beautiful yesterday.
Listen, I think that when one player finishes his entire career with one team, okay, it doesn't always end like John Elway with the Denver Broncos.
Right.
Okay. That's always kind of, to me, like one of the mainstays, right? One of the perfect examples that you can have in sports. But sports is an imperfect world, okay? So for Kershaw, as we've seen over the last several years with all the injuries he's had to deal with, he's given the Dodgers very good moments despite all the issues with his body failing him. And I think that it's commendable what he's kind of toughed through for the betterment of the team. And I don't think he's ever put himself at all before the team by any stretch of the imagination, which is a very easy thing to do when you've been the staple of the franchise, okay? I mean, this was a guy in 2014 that won both the Cy Young and the MVP, okay? Think about that for a second.
Think about how long ago that was.
Right. And then still was incredibly impactful for many years after the fact. And even through the injuries, as I mentioned, battle through those, when he'd come back, he'd have spurts of still being impactful. But we could see his skills diminishing and eroding. I don't think anybody was blind to that, and I don't think he was even blind to that. So the fact that he was able to still contribute in a meaningful way to this particular team, albeit on a much smaller scale, I thought was an incredible end to what has been one of the greatest careers of a pitcher we've ever seen. And look, we can nitpick anybody's career, but here's what happens. We do that stuff in real time, but in 25 years, when you're thinking of Clayton Kershaw, you're thinking of all those great moments that he had, okay? You're thinking of the contributions even as an old guy, right? At the end of his career, the last couple of years, right?
An old guy.
Well,
I mean, he is.
Well, he is an old guy.
No, it just sounds funny when you say it like that. Like, he's an old guy.
He is an old guy. Like, we're not trying. I don't think he's even hiding that by any stretch of the imagination. So I think you look at the totality of his career, arguably the greatest left-handed pitcher in the history of the sport, certainly in the regular season. And, what I would tell people about the postseason as we look at it, because I know people like Christopher who has now been baptized.
I've been baptized at the hand of Steven Hernandez.
Right.
Boy, I'll tell you what, you are so easy to buy. I mean, I know I'm easy to buy. You're even easier.
I mean,
I am.
You're like the opposite of the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. You're the guy that he buys all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I
then I toss
bought.
it back out and buy others.
Right. I can be bought, but you are so quick to be bought.
Yeah.
So
So
I am.
ultimately, when you look at
all Sedano had to do was buy me a cup of coffee 4 years ago and say, "Hey, I got an idea." And I said, "Let's go, Jack."
It's your time. But ultimately, when you look back at his career, you even if you want to be the nitpick guy about the playoffs, man, the playoffs are hard. You're playing the best of the best every single time. There are no Colorado Rockies in there. There's none of that. So if you really look at people's playoff careers, like I'll give you a perfect example of this in baseball. Derek Jeter gets lauded as one of the greatest playoff performers in the history of Major League Baseball. And he is. I'm not trying to take that away from him. But if you look at his postseason numbers, okay, they're eerily similar to his regular season numbers. And that's the point, is that in the postseason in baseball, if you can just be your averages, dude, you're a stud in the postseason. Most people, I would say the overwhelming majority, even the greats, okay, underperform in the postseason for the reasons I've already laid out. Barry Bonds is the greatest hitter I've ever seen, whether he was a stick figure in Pittsburgh or whatever he looked like in San Francisco, okay? And he, not until the last stretch of his career against the Angels in that World Series where they lost, was a playoff underperformer. And he's the greatest hitter I've ever laid eyes on. So Clayton Kershaw being the greatest left-hand pitcher I've ever seen, to me, his career is not diminished by the postseason because the postseason is supposed to be difficult.
Well, the opposite side of that would be this. If you walked up to somebody and said, "What do you think about Kike Hernandez?" And you go, "Yeah, he's okay." But then if you said, "But what about in the postseason?" You're like, I don't know, man. The guy comes to life.
An overachiever in the postseason.
But, here's the thing about Kershaw. You think about teams, and sometimes teams fail a player, a great player. You're a really great quarterback, and you've got Hall of Fame statistics. Here, I'll use Matthew Stafford as an example. The Detroit Lions failed Matthew Stafford. He was willing to give up his body and his health, and he still put up Hall of Fame caliber statistics, but they never surrounded him with enough to actually be good.
Right.
Give the Dodgers this credit.
They did.
That in the end,
they did.
Clayton Kershaw still wanted to pitch.
3 rings.
Right. He still wanted to pitch, and he still was able to pitch.
And
however,
Clayton Edward Kershaw.
However, they were like, you know what? He's not a number 1. He's not a number 2. He's really now at this stage of his career a 4, 5, 6 kind of guy. So they went out and they got Yamamoto, and they got Blake Snell, and they got Tyler Glasnow, and obviously they went out and got Ohtani. They got Sasaki. They got all these guys so that Clayton it wasn't like, hey, we're doing this to help Kershaw. It was like Kershaw will be needed at some point. And that's the thing, is that when Kershaw gets done, and not just what he did in the playoffs with that one big out that he got, Kershaw will look back at this season and he'll go, you know what? They needed me this year.
Yeah.
Because there was a time where there was no Ohtani pitching, and Blake Snell was out for a while. And, Sasaki was gone for most of the season. Guess what? I contributed in this last year. Yeah. I'm not taking this ring, George, and putting it away and going, I didn't really have much to do with it. I don't feel good about it. I don't like it.
We all we talked about it in real time. I'll talk about it again. We all absolutely were watching that game, terrified with the fear of God when he came in the most high leverage of situations and then finished the deal for them.
And you know what? Again, he should feel good about not only did I play my entire career with one organization, there was a time where I was the most dominant pitcher in baseball. And even though I was kind of hanging on by a thread because for some reason I still wasn't done, or maybe it was because he really believed, hey, here comes a couple of championship caliber teams, there was a contribution, and it wasn't symbolic. It wasn't ceremonial. They needed him this year.
And what I would say, and Greg could probably attest to this more than I can, and I know, again, this 2020 title by some people, even locally, was summarily dismissed, okay? But if you look at it, I get it. He was their best pitcher in that short season, right? Yes or no? He was their best pitcher.
100% he was.
Yes. And not just in the regular season. I would say in the postseason, too.
Yes.
He had 3 excellent starts in that postseason, 1 solid start, and then 1 start where he lost. So out of 5 playoff starts in that 2020 postseason, 3 of them were excellent. I'm talking about awesome starts, okay, that won them games. So as recent as then, okay, and that I know it seems like it's not that long ago, 5 years ago, he was their best pitcher, okay? And then the injuries really started to mount up in a way that were even excruciating for him, who had already dealt with some injuries.
Think about when he finishes, I mean, now he's done, but when he really, really thinks back on his career, he'll say, we won a World Series during COVID, and we played in essentially my own hometown because he's from the Dallas, Texas area, and the World Series was played down in Arlington, Texas. So he's gonna say, I got to win a World Series. Yeah, granted, it wasn't in front of everybody, but I got to win a World Series in my hometown, essentially. And then I got to go back to the Dodgers. When, if you remember back then, there was thought that he might not go back. People thought he might go to the Texas Rangers and finish his career in his hometown.
Right. That was a real discussion.
And then winning back-to-back titles and getting to walk out and walk off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Somebody said in our chat that Clayton Kershaw was better at the end of his career than Peyton Manning was. Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos, Super Bowl 50.
The defense carried him.
But it was, yes, he was not Peyton Manning of the Indianapolis Colts.
Right. He wasn't even Peyton Manning of the year before with the Denver Broncos.
Right. So Peyton Manning will walk away, and he'll be proud of a second Super Bowl championship. But Clayton Kershaw was a big-time contributor this year to the Dodgers. And, hey, salute to you, man, because everybody dreams of going to one team and playing your entire career with one team and winning championships at the end.
An unbelievable career, and this town will be able to say that they saw, this generation of fans will have seen Clayton Kershaw and Kobe Bryant in one uniform for their entire careers, which is awesome.
8:06, absolutely right. My guy, Kershaw. You're listening to the Sedano Kap Morning Show on 710 ESPN, KSPN Los Angeles, a Good Karma Brands radio station.